This is a case study of a lovely lady who's had 4 years of back pain. And again, lots of investigations, negative findings or findings that are normal for that person's age, and yet that's elusive why the pain is still persisting and the symptoms are still persisting. Puzzles everybody to the point where she's told she has to live with it. And this is the story of how she doesn't. For 4 years this lady has had pain in both legs. It started with back pain, it's then progressed to bilateral leg pain with associated tingling and numbness, and then it went through the process of, as the person complained of that pain to the GP, you get referred through to the musculoskeletal system, or you get referred for specialist investigations and consultant opinions. And all said and done, she still had the pain of 4 years ago, with 3 different MRI scans and lots of different practitioners all looking at the origin of this pain, looking at the clinical findings of the person and looking at the objective findings on MRI scans and x-rays. Normal changes in the hips, nothing that needed operation. Normal changes in the lumbar spine, so degenerative changes at quite a few levels, but nothing that would require any surgery, and nothing that really explained the bilateral tingling that was in this person's experience every time they sat. As soon as they sit down, bang, tingling. So mechanically you think, why is the tingling when they sit? It must be the disc, it must be pathological, there must be some pathology there, and all the investigations don't correlate. So what is it about that sitting position? What's going on in that associated sitting with danger? Well, the more it happens, the more the person experiences tingling in both legs when they sit, they start to anticipate it. And when I asked her how quick it comes on, she said it's on now, so within 5 minutes it's on, sitting in the waiting room and sitting in that situation. So very predictable. She said, but when I get up and walk around, it's not there, just not there. So that doesn't have the pattern of a pathological process. Structurally, it could be if there was trauma, but there was no trauma 4 years ago physically. It could be if there was a recent injury and some mechanically things happening within a 3-month period, but all of that has been negated and tested, and there's nothing sinister going on, and the person's more or less told you have to live with it. And she attended with her husband, and so you do the examination, and yeah, there's some musculoskeletal kind of restrictions, but again, they don't correlate. She's more restricted than you'd anticipate her to be, and the tension in the back is more on one side than the other, but there's no injury to explain that, and there's no obvious recent overload. So the body's in a state of fight or flight, the body's in a state of threat, and it's been like that for 4 years. So once you've excluded pain from an injury and pain from overload, and the timeline if either of those things happens has passed, there's something else going on, and nothing sinister from all the tests has shown up. And you ask the person, well, go through those pains and just explain the logical process of my thought process, so she can either examine it and say, no, that's a load of rubbish, or actually, yeah. So you go through the systematic pattern of why she presents the way she does. And I said to her, what else was going on in your life around the time that the pain appeared? He said, because there's other things that can create that tension in the body. And it's normally something with uncertainty. It's normally something where it's not ending immediately. You don't have the information how to stop it. And it's also something outside of your control. And as she went to speak, her husband said, can I just explain? And I said, yeah, of course. If it's something you want to share with me. She said, oh, well, we've had a real difficult neighbour dispute, to the point where there's been violence and police involved, and it's kind of a challenge. And well, it makes sense straight away. I don't know if you've ever had an argument with your neighbour or a challenge where you know you're thinking about that, but I haven't experienced anything as dramatic as that for as long as that. But in your own home, where you should feel safe, and neighbours, you can't always agree, but generally you can get along. But if there's always a sense of threat in your own home, or leaving the home, or coming into the home, then repeat that for long enough. It'll keep you awake at night. You'll wake up with a thought in the morning. You'll feel that somewhere in your body. Practice it for long enough and you'll embody it. You no longer have to think about it. And once you realise that her pain and the way she felt and the physical manifestation of that is real, she started to cry. And her husband said, some people who you see will think you're telling them it's in their head. And I said, yeah, absolutely. I think I've got two heads when I suggest that there's a mechanism beyond what they've believed for a few years. And he said, she said then, I can't get him out of my head, the neighbour. And I said, well, you've got to get him out of your body because he's in it. She said, I don't like that idea. I said, well, let's change that, because she's feeling it constantly. And when she's busy and active, she can switch off, because that's her busyness. You know, get busy, you don't feel it. Go get busy. But as soon as you sit down with your own feelings, and you can't use any of the more distracting behaviours, your body tells you, do you realise what you're feeling? Do you realise where we're at? We haven't switched this off. It hasn't been processed. And as soon as you can unlock that, and the person can unlock it themselves, with any of the mechanisms we described before, and a tear rolls down the cheek, the intention is not to upset someone. The intention is to find that they can release the fear and frustration. And it doesn't mean that the dispute with the neighbour is over. It just means the pain, physical pain from the dispute with the neighbour, can be over. The pain isn't saying you are damaged. The pain is saying you can't keep holding on to everything you're holding on to and then expect us to not feed that back to you in some way. The pain is simply a signal for you to attend to yourself. Yes, you've got to look for the structural things, where the pain is and what's related to it, but that's a wild goose chase. But our culture loves to run with that one. And then if they can't find the answer, they give you a pill to say, block that sensation. That has its place, but finding the meaning behind the pain, presenting it to the patient, asking them to take control of those sensations, or maybe show them how they can start to alleviate and take the nervous system down with calmer thoughts, and that explanation might help, with a breathing pattern that's so easy that your granny could do it, or your kids can do it, with some movements that just start to move the body, not through pain or fighting it or pushing through, which is the traits that this lady had and lots have, and which allow the body to express the emotional charge present that isn't in the head, it's embodied. But then the body almost starts to let go. The body starts to let go, and you don't have to actually change anything about the external circumstances, because you're changing the internal state, and you change that internal state and you can change the pain.